With her hands being tied and a rope wrapped around her mouth, the crowd kept yelling at the evil woman about to be executed for the sin of deceiving the whole nation. I'm sorry, I thought this was chapter 1? Did we miss a few chapters before this? A woman with long, silky golden hair warns the Grand Duke to keep his distance from Kiera Parvis, his own legitimate daughter. Kiera, desperate to escape, spots her older sister, Cosette, seemingly involved in her fate. Amidst the deafening screams of the crowd, blood splatters everywhere as she glances back one final time at Cosette and their father. This is one bloody start. On the day the Grand Duke received his title, a prophecy was revealed, foretelling a crisis for the continent and the emergence of a saintess, the sole daughter of the guardians of the empire. Chosen by the great water goddess Beatrice, the Parvis family, known for their water spirit lineage, was destined to bring rain to the barren land cursed by the devil once the daughter comes of age. Kiera, the saintess, was Ludwig Parvis's firstborn and grew up yearning for her father's love, having lost her mother at a young age. Poor Kiera. Despite her modest and sincere nature, Kiera's father remained indifferent to her efforts to gain his attention. Her desperation led her to show him her achievements and even staged an accident, hoping for his concern, but to no avail. What a horrible father! No one deserves this. For 18 years, Kiera's life revolved around seeking her father's validation, until the arrival of Cosette, the daughter of the former Grand Duchess, and the eldest daughter of the Grand Duke, changed everything. What matters to Ludwig is to know who his real child is, so he lets Cosette inside the palace to prove herself. But to Kiera, everything around her changed after that. Even the servants can tell the difference between them. Cosette is a kind person, while Kiera isn't approachable because she's so dignified. But more than anything, Cosette resembles the Grand Duke more than Kiera does. I feel like some of these people didn't listen to their biology classes about genetics and all. Outside, Kiera keeps swinging her sword out of frustration that Cosette just suddenly appears and claims that she's blood-related. I mean, who wouldn't be, right? A face that looks just like her father? It's indeed suspicious that she grew up as a commoner as well. But Kiera is so confident that she is the real daughter because all the women of House Parvis are born with the power of only one saintess. Maybe Cosette is a witch who can shapeshift? We need to find out what's her deal. It means that one is a fake and will bring disaster to the kingdom, and the only way to prove that is whoever can contact the spirits first. If Cosette can do this first, then Kiera will die as a fake. Cosette offered Cosmos flowers, hoping to befriend Kiera, but her cold reception made her intentions clear. Undeterred, Cosette asked if Kiera's hostility stemmed from not being Ludwig Parvis's true daughter, as her mother had been framed and driven away for deceiving him into becoming the Grand Duchess. Despite the revelation, Cosette encouraged Kiera not to shoulder guilt for her mother's deeds. Kiera, unable to contain her anger, swung her sword as a warning against insulting her mother further, hinting at severe consequences. Ugh, this girl is horrible. My patience just cannot. Later that day, Ludwig remembers the time when the Grand Duchess wanted to name their child Christian if it's a boy and Cosette if it's a girl. He cannot decide quickly about Cosette, but her face really resembles his. In her father's office, she tries to argue that she can't let Cosette accuse her mother of adultery. But Ludwig seems not to be on her side, and soon, like he ever was, he will know if it is just an accusation or the truth. Kiera leaves the room, remembering how her mother assured her that she's Ludwig's one and only nymph. She falls to her knees, crying how her father doubts about her legitimacy. Seriously, Ludwig, she's trying her best to be noticed, but Cosette gets all the credit without breaking a sweat? You are one good example of a terrible father. Cosette suddenly appears, provoking Kiera once more. Kiera forcefully pushes her hand away, warning her not to touch. As she catches her breath, Kiera questions why Cosette is wandering the main building. Cosette implies it shouldn't be surprising, as she is Parvis's eldest daughter, with Ludwig's permission to access the third floor alongside Kiera. The servants accidentally eavesdrop on Deputy General Joseph and Kiera discussing political matters. Amused, they mock Kiera as if she passed a knight entrance exam and gained approval. Despite tradition dictating Parvis children become knights at 18, serving as leaders for 3 years, Kiera acts like a true knight, meddling in everything. They sympathize with Joseph, recognizing his talent and skills, and feel sorry for him as Kiera often takes authority despite his role as deputy general. Honestly, can't Kiera take a break with these kinds of people? They are for real the worst bunch. Mina, one of the servants, complains about how Kiera commands them to do this and to do that. She even argues that Kiera is a fake child. Unfortunately, Kiera hears this, and so the other servants warn her to stop. But well, she wants trouble and points out that Kiera is not the daughter of the Grand Duke. Where did she get the audacity to insult the lady of the house? Without a second thought, Kiera slaps her and orders the guards to whip her. Well deserved. That evening, Kiera prepares to greet her father, but Cosette beats her to it, pleading with Ludwig not to dismiss her maid. Kiera tries to explain to her father that Mina had insulted her in the past, but he remains skeptical and asks the other servants for their account of the incident. To Kiera's surprise, the servants claim that she was being distant and cold. She glances at Cosette, who looks pleased, despite facing her own biases and prejudices. Can someone please give our MC a true friend and loyal subject? My heart breaks for her. Ludwig asks Cosette for confirmation, and guess what? She cries while clinging to him instead. Ugh, such a drama queen. Kiera argues that it isn't true at all, but Ludwig slaps her for keeping him disappointed all the time. Ludwig, you are not hot at all. You're just hot-tempered. Kiera tries to call out to her father, but he stops her, refusing to be addressed as father. He punishes her by ordering a month of confinement in separate quarters, wanting her out of his sight. Cosette is disappointed with the lenient punishment, and Kiera almost loses her temper, but refrains from laying a hand on her, fearing further trouble. In her isolation, Kiera observes how Ludwig treats Cosette better and vows to prove her power over the spirits before Cosette can. On Cosette's birthday, she gains control of the spirits, and Beatrice obeys her commands. While some congratulate her, others accuse Kiera of deception and fear her supposed evil magic. The false accusations lead to Kiera being sentenced to death, considered a harbinger of disaster. But before the sentence is carried out, a magician casts a spell, transporting her back to her room as she struggles with chest pains. Great! Thanks, Mr. Magician! The vivid memory of her decapitation assures Kiera that it wasn't a dream. She is certain she died. As she surveys her surroundings, she wonders if this is the afterlife, but the presence of everyone as before suggests her father executed them too. Panic sets in, and she recalls her younger brother Zeke, and she hurriedly searches for him, hoping he's unharmed. Before her execution, Zeke had visited her in the cell, pleading to run away together, as he didn't want to be with those snakes either. However, Kiara refused to involve him in her escape and advised him to leave instead. No, they're good siblings. Kiera realizes that there are so many familiar faces, younger than she remembers, so she asks Zeke about the date. It's still the 13th of August, 1295, the year she turned 18. That's right, she returned to the past. But who did this and why? Surprising Zeke with an invitation to breakfast, Kiera notices his gloomy demeanor, reminded of her habit of leaving early to greet her father. Realizing her mistake, she decides to prioritize those who truly care about her. You go, girl. That's the right decision. In the meantime, Ludwig wakes up from a nightmare where Joseph insists that Kiera didn't deceive him intentionally and should not be executed. Regrettably, he didn't listen, and Kiera, alongside a little girl in the crowd, called out to him one last time before her head flew from the guillotine blade. I hope this will be a Ludwig lesson in a change of heart. Later that day, Ludwig's assistant notices that Kiera didn't come to greet the Grand Duke. Ludwig himself isn't in his good condition, so his assistant advises him to rest. He can't remember anything from that horrible dream, but the sadness seems like it'd tear his heart apart is still fresh, and so he orders to send a therapist to his daughter. I'm sorry, sir, but you're the one who badly needs one. In the library, Kiera realizes that this day is 2 months advanced upon Cosette's arrival in the palace. Cosette herself made it clear that Kiera was the real one, but how was she able to manifest her powers 2 years later after Zeke's birthday banquet? The oracle predicted only one nymph, but Kiera questions whether Cosette's ability to summon Beatrice was just an illusion. Unable to unravel the mystery of her time travel, she gives up on that train of thought. Determined to investigate everything before her death sentence, she considers seeking answers from the Mage's Tower, but deems it useless. Then, her servant informs her about a therapist, even though Kiera believes she is perfectly fine. Kiera used to beg for her father to save her, and now he's sending a therapist? Nah, tell her to check him instead. On the training grounds, Kiera watches the Knight's Order application test, sitting beside Joseph. Memories of his protection even during her final moments flood back. She reflects on feeling inferior due to her status-based position and how she used to oppose him constantly. Now, she has something important to share with him. Wait, is it a love confession? Sorry for getting your hopes up, but Kiera is just sorry for borrowing Joseph's position. At that moment, Kiera instructs Joseph to handle the work without seeking her opinion. Later, she congratulates the successful candidates on passing the test and announces a welcome party, generously offering to cover all expenses. However, some whisper that her presence would make things tense. Joseph is prepared to confront those who speak ill, but Kiera surprises them by declaring she won't attend the party. She apologizes for her previous insensitivity and promises not to repeat it. As she leaves the grounds, the stone-hearted knights realize they had misjudged her all along. But can we blame them when Kiara's eyes look murderous? Joseph decides to go as a representative and apologize. On his way there, he's puzzled by what she said earlier. He once sensed her disapproval, but now, it's as if she's transformed, shedding her previous hostility. Kiera enters Ludwig's room, expressing gratitude for the therapist he sent, but he dismisses her, urging her to write instead of wasting his time. Excuse me, sir, but Kiera is no longer a pushover like before. Addressing his concerns, she assures him that she would never interrupt him for trivial matters. She then explains her decision to stop greeting him every morning, wanting to avoid making him uncomfortable with her greed for his time, especially when he has numerous tasks at hand. However, she doesn't end there. She also reveals her intention to step down as the captain of the Knights for 2 months. That's our girl. Kiera believes that she'll eventually have to relinquish her position when Cosette arrives, so she chooses to step down voluntarily. Besides, she has various investigations to pursue. Though Ludwig initially objects, Kiera persuades him, emphasizing her exhaustion. However, one thing has been bugging Ludwig all along. Kiera didn't call him father. Serves you right for what you did, or at least what you'll do in the future. In her room, Kiera wonders if her father lived happily with his real daughter and if everyone was content with her death. Joseph interrupts, reminding her of the party later. Kiera clarifies she'll give up her position to someone with talents, not just due to tradition. This angers Joseph, who reassures her that the Knights value her leadership and training skills, which justify the custom of her bloodline. Hey, Joseph is a cutie, especially with those green eyes. Joseph also resolves the misunderstanding between the Knights and Kiera, explaining the respect for her high rank. And he sounds caring towards Kiera too. Sweet. That night, Kiera realizes she's acknowledged despite her father's lack of appreciation. She attends the party, warmly welcomed by everyone. At the party, Arthur encourages Kiera to chug a mug of beer. Despite their delight in seeing their captain having fun, Kiera announces she's no longer their captain. Emotions surface, but everyone wishes her well and promises to wait for her return. Under the influence of alcohol, Kiera becomes emotional and realizes they are discussing the indifferent Grand Duke. The alcohol loosens her tongue, and she admits her frustration at her father's lack of concern, even when she intentionally rolled down the stairs. The Knights are upset to hear this and advise her to have fun with them instead of studying all the time. This is actually typical, even in the real world. Children trying to meet their parents' standards and do all kinds of shenanigans just to get their loving attention, but to no avail. Kiera agrees and lets out a genuine laugh. She didn't think it'd be so fun. Just let it all out, girl. We're here for you. When Raina brings her back to the mansion, Joseph kicks Arthur's foot when he's about to ask if he also wanted to have time with Kiera. Of course, he's still in denial. Just leave the man be, Arthur. Joseph discovers Kiera's unhappiness with her father, and he learns that others feel the same way. Meanwhile, Arthur realizes Kiera's true nature. Not scary and stiff, but rather soft and kind of cute. Joseph cautions him to be respectful to their captain, but he also agrees with Arthur's observation. With a hangover, Kiera asks Rose to clear her afternoon schedule. As Rose brushes her hair, Kiera ponders what Rose would do if she could live as she pleases. Rose reveals her desire to go on a journey, and Kiera immediately approves, offering to cover her expenses. Wow, that's every employee's dream. This moment makes Kiera realize that work isn't everything. She wonders if she wasn't born in the Parvis family, would her life be different? Following Rose's recommendation, Kiera explores books about the lives of noble ladies. In the garden, she discreetly questions if anyone else can see spirits, trying not to raise suspicion. Then, the rumors of her being a boring loner with no close friends come to mind. Suddenly, Arthur arrives with honey water from Joseph to help with her hangover. As he prepares to leave, she seeks advice on connecting with people beyond the mansion. Arthur suggests she smile more, as her demeanor can be scary, similar to the Duke. See? No DNA test needed. Sorry, Cosette. After that, Arthur is of a big help for giving her a lot of tips to work on. We love supportive ones like Arthur, right guys? Later that evening, Rose brings the recommended books but advises Kiera not to read before sleeping, warning of staying awake all night. Ignoring Rose's advice, Kiera begins reading about Stella and the Count Graham meeting in the summer garden. To her surprise, the story takes an unexpected turn, where the Count's hand slides up in her dress and you know what comes after. We'd like to see that too, but with Kiejo's version. And in a moment of panic, she throws the book on the floor, her face turning red. Us too. In her defense, Kiera admits she's not accustomed to reading such books, yet she finds herself staying awake till morning. When Rose asks her if she likes the book, Kiera can't openly show her approval, particularly for that part. Curious, Rose hurries to the servants' room to inquire about the side story of Lady Stella's exhilarating summer vacation. The other servants are astonished to discover that Kiera reads romance novels instead of the Bible or academic books, not to mention the steamy content of the book. Rose defends her that she's just curious about the lives of regular nobles. Well, you can't be sure about that, Rose. In the library, Kiera searches for records about spirits. However, even House Parvis, the descendants of spirit arts, knows little, having agreed not to delve into the power bestowed by the goddess. Consequently, there are scarce materials on the subject. Later, Kiera overhears the servants discussing the romance novel she read. She wants to join the conversation, but she's mindful of maintaining her dignity. As she discreetly listens, one of the servants notices her and they quickly apologize and leave, misunderstanding her intentions. Feeling down while walking through the hallway, Kiera encounters Rose and confesses her enjoyment of the book but couldn't admit it due to her dignity. She shares her favorite scenes with Rose, who is delighted to see her lady having fun. And yes, that's the kind of conversation she wants to experience. Ludwig prepares to ride the carriage but reminisces about Kiera, who used to send him off. Robert informs him that his daughter is occupied with researching spirits in the library. While holding his head, Ludwig wobbles, attributing it to fatigue, though he suspects it might be due to recurring nightmares. Meanwhile, Kiera gazes out of the window, feeling a tinge of jealousy as she remembers how easily Cosette interacts with others. But can we blame her if all she ever did was to impress her father? Putting her feelings aside, Kiera writes a letter to her grandfather, Marquess Simon Edinburgh, who is cunning and avaricious, seeking his support to counter potential future challenges, like history repeating itself. She plans to meet him discreetly, attending a gathering from another house. As Kiera asks Rose to bring all the invitations she received, Rose gets excited, imagining Kiera having a fateful encounter like Stella in the novel. Kiera's interest grows, and she volunteers to check the invitations herself. Shortly after, Ludwig arrives and sees Kiera visibly upset because Robert threw out all the invitations. Now calm down, Kiera. You always threw it away before. Ludwig is surprised by his daughter's interest in accepting the invitations. He reminds her that House Parvis has always maintained neutrality, being chosen to avoid useless conflicts. However, she bluntly expresses her frustration with staying in the mansion. Period. Ludwig's eyes widen at his daughter's reaction, and even the servants are terrified by her boldness towards the Grand Duke. Nonetheless, Ludwig remains composed and asks about her plans. To everyone's surprise, she mentions that she's looking for a husband, but she quickly retracts the statement, deeming it an excuse. Ludwig appears relieved by this, but Kiera questions if, as long as the house remains unharmed, he wouldn't care about her actions. Right? Ludwig turns around and leaves, but he orders Robert to report what event she attends, who she meets, and what she does. Oh, look what we have here. Possibly a concerned father? Nah. Kiera notices Arthur and Joseph talking and decides to join them. She hints about a newly discovered hobby, but feels too shy to share it outright. Arthur offers to take her to the casino, one of his hobbies that he openly shares with others. Kiera considers accepting, not wanting to hurt Arthur's feelings by declining. Aw, he's just trying to share his interest with her. Cute. So she agrees to it. Joseph volunteers to take responsibility for her safety. Arthur is so shocked because Joseph hates the casino, but the latter just tells him to keep quiet. Something's blooming within you, Joseph. We can clearly tell. Kiera suddenly realized what she had agreed to, but as long as she abstained from gambling, she was content to watch. Joseph noticed her tense fist and inquired if something was amiss. To make amends for the previous drunkenness, he offered her a tonic. Though she couldn't recall that day, he assured her that the knights had enjoyed being near her. This time, he promised it would be just as enjoyable. We hope so. In the early morning, Kiera welcomes Viscountess Shore, who will assist her in preparing for an upcoming gathering. While Lady Shore speaks, Kiera appears lost in her own thoughts. Lady Shore snaps at her, but Kiera apologizes, and Lady Shore understands, relating it to her son's similar disinterest in social gatherings due to his intense focus on studying magic. Intrigued, Kiera requests to meet Lady Shore's son, and she gladly agrees. Could meeting this son be the answer to the time travel that happened with Kiera? Descending the stairs, Kiera is approached by a hesitant servant, who hands her the book that Rose told her to give to Kiera. Two more servants join them, and Kiera seizes the opportunity to strike up a conversation, asking about the book's contents. As they discuss the plot, one of the servants mentions the upcoming gathering Kiera is set to attend. They surely get along very well with Kiera now. They continue talking about the gathering, and when they arrive at the topic of Kiera's partner for the gathering, it's when Kiera realizes that she hasn't thought of who will be her partner for that day. Suddenly, Joseph appears, saying that he has come to escort Kiera. Oh my, he looks so dashing. Can't believe he didn't crush your mind for 1 second, Kiera. We are cross with you. Arthur and Raina then appear, saying that they should go together, and Raina secretly whispers to Kiera that they will be going to the casino. As Kiera, Joseph, Arthur, and Raina are on their way out of the house, Zeke sees them, and Kiera then decides to bring him too, making Zeke beam with excitement. Such an adorable kiddo. While riding in their carriage, Zeke is taken aback to learn they're headed to a casino and vents his frustration at the knights for bringing Kiera along. Calmly, Kiera reassures him that the casino is legal and they're there merely to observe and learn about the outside world. Arriving at the casino, Kiera is captivated by the surroundings. Meanwhile, Arthur persistently encourages Zeke to play, but he stands his ground, explaining that gambling can lead to financial troubles without self-control. Way to go, Zeke! It's always a good decision not to give in to gambling. Romantic fangirl approved. Kiera then abruptly ends their conversation, saying that she wants to try the roulette, so Arthur explains to her how that game works. After playing the said game, she happily exclaims that she wants to try more and ends up gaining a lot of chips from winning. What a beginner's luck she has! During their conversation about what to do with Kiera's winning chips, a casino clerk in uniform interrupts them, delivering a message from Count Sebier. The message invites Kiera to play a high-stakes game. After reading it, Kiera declines the Count's offer, expressing her reluctance to bet large sums of money. However, she remains open to participating in smaller games. That's a good decision there, Kiera. In one of the corners of the casino, it reveals that there is a guy that's been eyeing Kiera. Who could this man be? He looks so dreamy, especially in those red clothes. The Count agrees to Kiera's condition of playing only small games. She takes a handful of chips from Raina's pouch and sets aside the rest for their meal later. They all move to the VIP room where Count Sebier warmly welcomes Kiera and proposes a poker game. Despite being unfamiliar with the game, Kiera surprisingly triumphs in her first attempt. So lucky! I guess when it rained luck, you got it all. Except for the dad part. Oops, sorry, bad joke. After witnessing Kiera's initial victory, the Count warns her that things won't be easy anymore. True to his words, he starts winning consistently, taking all the chips she had set aside for the game. As Kiera suggests they should leave, she catches the Count hiding cards up his sleeves, revealing that he has been cheating throughout the entire game. Ugh, what a dirty player! Out of nowhere, a man emerges and swiftly subdues the Count, having him taken away. Turning to Kiera, he kneels and kisses her hand. This enigmatic stranger then extends an invitation for tea, which Kiera graciously accepts. Again, so lucky. At the casino bar, the man introduces himself as Aiden Castro, and Kiera introduces herself as Kiera, hiding her noble lineage. Aiden confesses that he has been observing her since her arrival, choosing a more respectful approach instead of direct flirting. Meanwhile, Kiera's companions discreetly observe the pair from a distance. Raina warns that Aiden has a reputation for indiscriminate flirting with every woman he encounters. Okay, I take it back. He is not handsome. He is bad news. Or is he? We are kinda colorblind. After their charming encounter, Aiden invites Kiera for a weekend meal, and she joyfully accepts. When Kiera returns to her companions, they're stunned by her evident infatuation with Aiden. I mean, who wouldn't be with that face? While her friends are speechless, Kiera believes it must be fate and wonders if Aiden could be her partner for the gathering. Girl, I know he's unbelievably gorgeous, but isn't it too fast? How about our Joseph? Later, Kiera confides in Rose about her meeting with Aiden and seeks advice on planning their date as a commoner, having pretended to be just a regular girl. Rose suggests a commoner's favorite, a scenic airship ride to explore the capital. Kiera loves the idea and contemplates renting the entire airship to ensure an intimate date without any crowd. Such a romantic Kiera is. In the garden, Kiera enjoys the flowers, plucking one for herself, when Joseph approaches and calls out to her. He asks if she's going somewhere, but she replies that she's simply in a good mood. Unexpectedly, she hands the flower to Joseph and excuses herself. Stunned by her gesture, Joseph is left speechless. William and Raina soon join them, equally surprised by Kiera's radiant mood. William jokingly suggests that she may have found a lover, causing Raina to mention an upcoming date with Aiden. This revelation prompts Joseph to confirm with Raina about Aiden's reputation as a playboy, leading both Joseph and Raina to plan on intervening the date. Yes, please, protect our Kiera from that playboy Aiden. The day for the date has come. In the middle of the town, Kiera and Aiden meet each other. Aiden then kisses Kiera's hands, making her nervous. He's really good at being so flirty. No wonder our girl Kiera is head over heels for him. I mean, us too. On the other hand, Joseph, Zeke, Arthur, and Raina are spying on the two and are on their mission to protect Kiera from Aiden. Kiera and Aiden settle themselves in one of the restaurants in the capital. While Kiera is eating her meal, Aiden observes the way she acts, which baffles him since it's so natural for Kiera to act like she's from a high family and wonders who exactly Kiera is. Kiera then blushingly asks Aiden if he can make time for her next Wednesday, but Aiden tells her that he has plans already for that day, which is a book meeting with his friends. Such a liar! The truth is that he's meeting another woman that day. Aiden tries to make up for the schedule conflict by dedicating the day solely to Kiera. He asks her if she has any place in mind to go after their meal. Kiera suggests taking an airship to get a panoramic view of the capital, but Aiden dismisses the idea, citing airship schedules and distance. Unexpectedly, Kiera reveals that she already rented an airship, leaving Aiden in disbelief. As the airship arrives at the restaurant, Aiden wonders about Kiera's influence, even considering if she might be related to the Imperial family, a thought that unsettles him during the ride. You played with the wrong lady, boy. Seeing Aiden acting uneasy in the airship, Kiera checks on him, but he just explains to her that he's a bit scared being so high, to which she finds so cute, and it amuses her, making her laugh. Meanwhile, the 4 spies also boarded the airship, and they're stunned seeing Kiera laugh. On the other hand, Joseph can't understand his feelings seeing Kiera laugh with Aiden. Looks like our Joseph is jealous. We are too. Raina then makes a plan with them that at the upcoming gathering, they will make Kiera see Aiden's true colors. When Kiera arrives home, she ponders on the thought that she will go to the gathering alone. Just then, Joseph welcomes her arrival and nervously asks her if she will go to the gathering with him. Kiera's mood instantly brightens. She then grabs Joseph's hands and confirms what she just heard from him, to which he answers that he is sure about it. Kiera then observes that Joseph's face is getting redder and redder, and that's when she realizes that she's holding his hand, so she releases it. Blushing, Joseph is so cute. In the house, Kiera and Zeke are having tea and talking about her date with Aiden. When asked about what she likes about Aiden, she just keeps on praising his handsome appearance. She just fell for his looks, like a typical innocent young lady. Frustrated, Aiden visits the traffic management offices to inquire about the airship's rental, but the clerk refuses to disclose the information, adding to his annoyance. The idea of Kiera's potential connection to the Imperial family troubles him deeply, especially as he reflects on their past experiences. Fearing the implications, Aiden finds himself praying and hoping never to encounter her again. The next day, Duke Parvis receives a bill for the airship rental, initially thinking it was a mistake. However, his butler Robert reveals that Lady Kiera rented the airship and spent time with a man after lunch, suggesting she has taken a liking to him. Shocked, the Duke ponders if this newfound behavior is due to the man Kiera is seeing, prompting him to visit her room to ask directly. Inside Kiera's room, her servants are admiring her gown when they hear a knock on the door. And to their surprise, it's the Duke who stands outside. It's really a surprise since it's usually Kiera that goes to him. Well, the tables have turned. The Duke directly asks Kiera about the airship bill and brings up the topic of the man he heard she's seeing, suspecting it as the reason for her changed behavior. Kiera blushes but clarifies that she's not in the kind of relationship he presumes. After the awkward moment passes, she promises to be cautious with expenses in the future. But the Duke says that's not what he wants to discuss. As he struggles to find the right words, Kiera fears he might use the situation to prevent her from attending the party. She tries to excuse herself, but he stops her and is on the verge of asking something important when he decides to just wish her well, and leaves the room, leaving Kiera puzzled about what he truly intended to say. What is it that you're really trying to convey to your daughter, our dear Duke? The day for the gathering has come, and Kiera is dressed in her blue gown. When Joseph sees her, he becomes mesmerized and speechless. He showers her with compliments, making her blush, and then offers his hand as they should be going. They make a lovely pair to look at. As Kiera and Joseph arrive at the gathering, everyone, including the hosts Marquis and Marquess Franch, is surprised. They grace each other's presence, and when Joseph observes that Kiera seems to panic talking with the hosts, he quickly makes an excuse to get her out of the situation. After Joseph checks on Kiera, he asks if she would like to step outside, but she answers that she'll just sit on one of the couches and have something to eat. So Joseph offers to bring her food and leaves her for a while. We really need a Joseph in our lives. As Kiera settles herself on the couch, she observes some ladies nearby having fun talking to each other, and it makes her want to join their conversation too. Suddenly, one of the ladies sees her. The ladies assume that they are disturbing Kiera's peace, so they apologize and go on their way, leaving Kiera alone. Poor Kiera. She just wants to socialize too. Suddenly, a servant approaches Kiera and tells her that the Marquis of Edinburgh, her maternal grandfather, requests her presence. She meets her grandfather at the balcony, and after exchanging greetings, she asks him about the other wife of his father, Rowena Vaneberg, shocking the Marquis. Kiera asks her grandfather if Rowena was indeed sent away from the capital because she was infertile, to which he confirms. Observing her grandpa's reaction, she concludes that he's hiding some information from her. But she recalls the moments before her execution from the past when her grandpa defended her, so she chooses to believe what he tells her. After talking about Rowena, Kiera requests the Marquis to prepare a hiding place far from the capital for her. When her grandpa asks why she would need a hiding place, she answers that she'll tell him when he'll tell her the truth too. Nice bargain, Kiera. As Kiera is about to exit the balcony, she ponders that the hiding place will be where she'll flee to once Cosette appears, and if the same thing will happen in the past when she'll be imprisoned before she'll be executed. She's gonna be really prepared this time. Suddenly, she hears a familiar voice. On the other hand, Joseph, Arthur, and Raina are looking for Kiera so that they can let her see Aiden together with another woman. As they arrive outside looking for her, they see her jump from the balcony. Kiera witnesses Aiden with a woman behind the bushes, and she then confronts him. Oh, this is going to be so interesting. With her scary aura, Kiera grabs and tosses Aiden to the ground and is about to hit him when Raina and Arthur restrain her. Oh, please, don't restrain her. The guy needs a good amount of beating for real. He's a literal red. On the other hand, when Aiden hears Arthur addressing Kiera as Duchess, he realizes that the one he is facing is none other than the daughter of the spirit user family, Kiera Parvis. Even though the realization has hit him, he decides to play innocent and introduces the woman he's with as his partner. He then adds that the moment he shared with Kiera at the restaurant was just a meal they happened to share. Just how shameless this man is. After hearing Aiden explain and defend himself, Kiera snaps and hits him until he lies down on the ground unconscious. That's what you deserve, you piece of trash. She then leaves him on the ground and walks away, and when Joseph follows her, she says that she left her shoe on the balcony, so Arthur and Raina run to get it. Joseph checks on Kiera and asks if she wants to go home, but she refuses to and explains that she will only return home once she fully enjoys the night. She continues that she will not let some awful guy ruin her day. That's our girl. Don't let any man hinder you from being happy, ladies. Just as she wants to lash out her anger at Aiden more, Raina and Arthur arrive, bringing her shoe. Joseph then kneels in front of Kiera and puts the shoe on her foot and comforts her. After securing the shoe, he offers his hand to her and invites her to dance with him. Joseph is the standard. As Joseph and Kiera begin dancing, she observes her partner's face closely and thinks that he is so handsome. She then stares at him so intensely that it makes him blush and stiffen. That's right, Kiera. Don't go looking for a man somewhere else. The man is right in front of you. In the morning, a girl named Daphne Shore visits Kiera's house and reveals herself to be the daughter of Viscountess Shore, who had previously visited. Daphne explains her role in assisting with Zeke's upcoming birthday celebration. As they discuss the preparations, Daphne notices Kiera's somber mood and inquires about it. Kiera opens up to Daphne, sharing her struggle with socializing and making friends. Daphne suggests attending a salon party as a way to ease into social gatherings and invites Kiera to accompany her to a party hosted by the princess. Kiera gladly accepts the invitation. Feeling unsure about conversation topics, Kiera confesses her concern to Daphne. Undeterred, Daphne offers help by sharing the current trends, revealing she had done the same for her brother, which impresses Kiera with her knowledge. Suddenly, Kiera remembers Daphne's brother, who Viscountess Shore had told her about. Kiera then wonders if she will be able to meet him soon, as she wants to ask him about time reversal magic. This magician guy is surely piquing my interest. I wonder what he looks like. In the Imperial Palace, the princess is surprised upon hearing that Kiera will be attending her salon party. I hope the princess is nice. The Imperial Prince Mikhail d'Arc and his sister, Princess Arabella d'Arc, discuss Kiera's sudden acceptance of the invitation for the party the princess will be hosting. Arabella is annoyed, knowing that Kiera will attend her party, but Mikhail tells her that Kiera must have her reasons for her sudden interest in attending social gatherings, and that the Parvis house is something they should watch out for. Oh, never mind. Arabella explains her displeasure regarding Kiera as she recalls her encounter with Kiera once at a banquet, where she just gets ignored by Kiera and feels belittled. Insecure much? So Mikhail calms her and asks her to think about it politically and find out Kiera's real intention. Given no choice, the princess agrees to give it a shot in approaching Kiera, despite knowing that she's always been ignored by her. Well, don't worry, princess. Kiera is a changed lady already. In the Parvis house, Robert delivers a report to Duke Parvis about Kiera's whereabouts. The report contains Kiera's meeting with her grandfather and Kiera breaking up with Aiden. Wait. Breaking up? They never were together! Did we miss a few chapters or something? Robert is so advanced. Robert then tells the Duke about Kiera accepting the invitation to the party at the Imperial Palace. Hearing such news shocks Duke Parvis, so he orders Robert to call Kiera into his office. Our girl keeps on surprising us, doesn't she, Ludwig? Outside the house, Kiera thinks about her situation and her progress in investigating magic and spirits. She then remembers her great-aunt, Johanna Parvis, being the only existing spirit user. Kiera ponders about visiting her aunt, but she hesitates as she needs to go through Duke Parvis if she wants to meet her. Suddenly, Robert appears and tells her that the Duke is requesting her presence. As Kiera arrives at her father's office, it surprises her since he prepared desserts and drinks for their talk. Wow, the Duke is showing his affection in other ways. He then starts their conversation by asking about her quest for looking for a good husband. Kiera answers that she hasn't asked someone about marriage yet, but adds that she will soon succeed. The Duke then replies that she can do as she pleases. Wow, character development. Kiera then brings up the topic about her aunt and wishes to see her, to which Duke Parvis agrees. After stating her intentions and meeting her aunt to the Duke, she excuses herself, leaving him alone in the room. As Kiera exits the room, she ponders about the Duke's expressions during their conversation, and then her mind wanders about what could it be that her grandfather is hiding from her, and she thinks that it could be something important to solve her dilemma. What could it be that her grandpa is hiding? The salon party is buzzing in excitement. The Lady Parvis is attending, and it is unlike her to come to any social events at all. Our girl Kiera is the talk of the town once again. The princess is beyond uncomfortable that someone who has been rude to her is coming to the opening of her salon, while the other guests are anxious to have to deal with the atmosphere that she brings. When she arrives with Lady Daphne, she politely greets the princess. Kiara's attempt to make friends will now begin. "You can do it, girl. We can only hope that she will find true friends." Later on, they are all seated and enjoying themselves. The princess then introduces the special guest for her party, which is the famous musician, Mr. Joshua White. The ladies start swooning almost instantly when they catch a glimpse of him. These girls are true fangirls indeed. Like us. Meanwhile, Daphne has to give Kiera a quick lesson so she can keep up. Kiera is forced into the spotlight when the princess asks her to request a song from Mr. White. She grips the teacup harder as she frantically forms a response. Good thing the dutiful Daphne has given her pointers about him beforehand, even mentioning his famous song, Wolfgang Sunset. She composes herself and requests the song casually. Great save, Kiera. For a while, she is relieved that the conversation is flowing seamlessly. After the party, Kiera goes to the princess to bid her farewell, and the princess graciously asks her to visit again. As she is leaving, she accidentally drops a piece of paper. Naturally, the princess's maid picks it up for her, and what she sees shocks her. Written on the paper are all the latest trends among the young ladies, even information about Joshua White. Kiera instantly rushes back, embarrassed beyond belief. Kiera and the princess find themselves in an awkward conversation after the discovery of Kiera's social cheat sheet. Kiera explains that she worries about keeping up with the conversation, which surprises the princess, who can't believe a noble lady doesn't know how to converse with others. Even more astonished, the princess learns that Kiera attended the party with the intention of making friends. Kiera confesses her desire to join the princess and her friends in social events, but was always afraid of ruining the atmosphere with her presence. Making friends is really hard, Kiera, especially if you're an introvert. The princess can't believe her ears and slams her hands on the table in sheer disbelief. She exclaims that she had always glared at them, but Kiera reveals that it's just her natural expression. As Kiera leaves, the princess realizes she had misinterpreted Lady Parvis all along and had been making something out of nothing. That is why we should never judge anyone quickly, princess. As Kiera leaves the palace, Daphne awaits her and eagerly asks about her encounter with the princess, relieved to hear it went well. However, Daphne expresses her outrage at not being informed about Kiera's plans to find a husband. She scolds Kiera for not confiding in her and then presents an invitation, revealing that she has been sending them out and making sure to invite numerous handsome young men. Daphne is so determined to play matchmaker. An ultimate wingwoman indeed. She is so sure that Kiera will find her destined love soon. Her excitement is practically radiating off of her that Kiera doesn't want to break her enthusiasm. She agrees to attend despite her initial reluctance. We can't blame Daphne, we're excited too! When it is time for the Shore's family party, everyone is buzzing about Kiera's presence once again, especially since it has recently been circulating that she is looking for a husband. Kiera has once again asked Sir Joseph to join her as her partner in the party. And boy, did they look dashing together! Sir Joseph is definitely rocking that uniform. Kiera, believe me, you do not need to find a husband. He's right beside you. Daphne is quick to greet her once they arrive. She is so enthusiastic to aid Kiera in her quest for true love, going out of her way to invite the most outstanding-looking men out there. She most certainly knows how to do an assignment. It must be great to have a friend and such an efficient wingwoman. When Daphne leaves to greet her other guests, Sir Joseph says that Kiera is quite close to her, and Kiera shyly replies that they are friends. Go, girl! You're making such progress! You even have a friend now, and a good one at that. All of a sudden, she locks eyes with the startled princess. Her Highness certainly did not expect her to attend. Kiera and Sir Joseph greet the princess in the customary manner, and Kiera's attempt at a friendly smile startles the princess, making her even scarier. Out of politeness, the princess offers to introduce Kiera to her friends, but she is dismayed when Kiera accepts. As Kiera talks to the other ladies, she is taken aback when someone speaks close to her ear from behind, telling her that she should have gone to him first when she returned. Turning her head, she recognizes him as the man who performed a spell after her death in her past life. The man identifies her as a regressor, stating that he has finally found her. What could this mean? Upon realizing the person in front of her, she's overwhelmed by a rush of memories. She stumbles, and Sir Joseph quickly catches her, demanding better manners in front of Lady Parvis. Again, Joseph is such a man. The incredibly handsome man explains he has something to tell her. Kiera decides to have a brief talk with him while Sir Joseph waits. They find privacy in the lounge, and after a moment of hesitation, Kiera asks how he knows she's a regressor from the past. The man reveals that he sent her back, and she's the only one retaining her memories, marked by a spell on her head. Learning all this surprises Kiera, especially knowing that even the caster himself lacks knowledge of their past life, as time reversal is an uncomfortable type of magic, used as a last resort. He then asks about her last memory of the past. When she solemnly reveals receiving the death penalty, his smugness disappears, replaced by visible concern for the gravity of the situation. He explains that as a rare time magician, he's likely the only one who can alter the flow of time. The spell involves two people, the caster and another person. The flaw is that only the other person can decide whose memory will be restored, and they usually choose themselves. Kiera realizes that since she didn't cast the spell with him, there must have been another person present, and that person chose to retain her memories. The question is, who is that person? Things are getting increasingly complicated. After their serious conversation, the magician introduces himself as Resigning, a magician in the Magic Tower. She also finds out that Erez is Daphne's older brother, noting how he is different and less cautious than his sister. She takes her leave since a certain someone is waiting for her outside. He instantly assumes that it's probably the man with a vicious gaze. He may be vicious, but he is nothing short than adorable. Don't worry, Erez, you're quite handsome yourself. Kiera explains that one should not leave one's partner for long. Kiera goes to Sir Joseph apologizing for making him wait. He questions her about Erez and why he called her a regressor. She once again laments about the magician's lack of discretion. Good thing Joseph takes in her excuses even though he knows that she's hiding something. Can we take a second to appreciate this man's beauty? He's angelic. 2 days later, there is an uproar when the news that Lady Parvis has apparently chosen a lover, and that it is no other than Resigning. The issue has been plastered in every tabloid there is, and Kiera couldn't be more satisfied that things are going smoothly. The Grand Duke's mood, on the other hand, is even more melancholy than usual. What's wrong, Papa Parvis? Why aren't your usual stoic self? He is in the sitting area while Kiera is getting ready for her trip to visit her great-aunt. Her brother Zeke is there as well, and he can't help but ask for assurance that his sister isn't really planning to get married. Ah, what a cutie! If only all siblings were as adorable as him. The maids and her little brother are outside to see her off as she begins her journey to her great-aunt. She needs to get more clues from this spirit before Cosette arrives. Upon arriving at her great-aunt's estate, Johanna Parvis warmly greets Kiera. Settling in the sitting room, Kiera asks if it's possible for a normal person to be a spirit user. Johanna, not one for studying, can't answer with certainty, but she shares personal and research records of their ancestors who were spirit users. Kiera feels hopeful, anticipating more clues. In her room, Kiera delves into the records. The research contains familiar knowledge, but it's the personal accounts that catch her attention. She reads about two sisters where the younger one manifested her power on time, while the other one grew depressed waiting. The eldest sister's despair ends when the younger one tries something called resonance, touching her sister for the first time. This contact awakens the older sister's ability to see spirits. She had possessed the power all along, and the point of contact with her sister allowed it to surface. Could this be the answer as to why Cosette managed to see the spirits first? Or did she fake it? What do you guys think? The sisters formulated a hypothesis. The younger one believed that her powers could awaken her sister's abilities by sharing spirit energy. They named this phenomenon resonance, a temporary manifestation of dormant powers unique to Parvis sisters. As Kiera reads the journal with tears in her eyes, she feels a sense of relief. In her past life, she had doubted herself in Cosette's presence, but now she knows her ability to see spirits was dormant all along. You've been through a lot, our dear Kiera. Most significantly, she realizes that she could see the spirits through resonance because Cosette touched her, confirming their sisterhood. Oh no, nobody wants to be sisters with such a The day of Zeke's birthday banquet arrives, and Kiera feels the pressure of time running out. As she gets ready for the event, she regrets not telling her great-aunt about resonance. However, she realizes that there's no certainty it will lead to an awakening, and her aunt will likely support Cosette as well when the time comes. Kiara reminds herself not to be impatient and that they both still need to wait for the goddess. That's right, let's not lose hope, Kiera. At the banquet, as people from notable houses introduce themselves and greet the young lord, an unexpected figure enters the hall, causing murmurs of disbelief from the crowd. The man, Count Isaac Weinberg, has been a recluse for a long time and is the brother of the Grand Duke's previous wife. Kiera looks at the woman with him and recognizes Cosette at last. Cosette greets them, and rather than acting cold like in her previous life, Kiera smiles at her warmly and greets her in return. The girl declares how happy she is that she is now reunited with her family after many years. Zeke is the one to react negatively, stating how nonsensical her claim is. He even calls Sir Arthur to throw them out. Before the knight can touch her, Cosette protests, insisting that she is the Grand Duke's flesh and blood. At that moment, the Grand Duke himself enters and the girl greets him. She even calls him father. His Excellency is naturally taken aback when the girl declares herself his daughter. Meanwhile, Kiera's suspicion of her grows. How can someone who supposedly grew up as a commoner be able to handle the heavy gaze of many nobles? She doubts that she grew up not knowing her identity. The Grand Duke asks if Cosette can prove her claim. Hearing this, Kiera is sure that nothing has changed, not even the words that her father is about to say. She has already experienced this before, so getting hurt by her father's lack of care is just foolish to her. You poor girl. I can only imagine how much pain she had gone through with the way her father had treated her. But she is wrong. The Grand Duke suddenly makes Cosette repeat the words she said as a greeting to him. Upon hearing it again, his shock is palpable on his face. After a moment of chaos between the Count and their grandfather, the Grand Duke announces that they are gathered there for his son's birthday, and not to mention the topic all throughout the celebration. Kiera doesn't understand why things have changed. Is it possible that her father remembers too? This is getting better and better. Zeke is seething that Weinbergs used his birthday to announce such an issue. He is hostile with them, which is understandable. Kiera has to encourage him to lighten up and not ruin his special day. Moments later, Kiera is standing at the edge of the crowd when someone calls for her attention. It's Arez, and my gosh, is he dashing as ever. We love that suit, don't we, guys? She instantly threatens him to not say anything, otherwise she'll hit him. She is definitely not in the mood. You better not provoke her, Arez. Arez observes how weird the atmosphere is, so Kiera tells him about Cosette. The moment he sees her, he is dramatically startled. She instantly asks him if he knows her, but he tells her that he merely finds her unusual. Kiera then tells him that she claims to be the Duke's real daughter and that she would probably accuse her of being a fake. Arez tells her to be wary of her since he feels something sinister going on with her. She assures him that even without his warning, she'll definitely be careful. I would be too. Have you seen how eerily glowy she is? Very suspicious. Arez observes her clench her fists around the wine glass as she seethes in anger about how that girl who dares to take her place. Our girl is ready to fight tooth and nail. Woohoo! Rumors about Cosette have begun spreading like wildfire in their estate, and all Kiera can do is ignore it. She is making her way to the Grand Duke's office when Rose asks her if she's all right. She answers with so much conviction that she trusts her mother not to have committed infidelity. Meanwhile, the Grand Duke is thinking about how Cosette's eerie voice resembles the one in his dreams. When Kiera arrives, he makes her take a seat. Kiera is so sure that he has finally made a decision, which is the reason for summoning her. However, she is beyond surprised when he asks for her opinion in the matter. When had he ever asked for her thoughts? Is the Grand Duke finally stepping up as a father, or are we getting our hopes up? You better do something, Papa Parvis. She decides to be honest with him and states it is not a pleasant feeling when all sorts of rumors about her are spreading. Before she continues answering him, she thinks about how she needs to keep an eye on Cosette if she is to be an unavoidable enemy. She then declares that she trusts her mother and that she will not object to his decision. However, hearing his uncharacteristic regard for her opinion, Kiera can't help but wonder why her father is being considerate of her. Hey, everyone can change, right? Let's hope for the best. When she exits her father's office, Kiera is instantly met by her brother, who is desperate for information. When she tells him that the Grand Duke has decided to take the girl in, Zeke visibly deflates. Kiera assures him that she really is okay. She knows that her mother is kind and honest. She would never have committed adultery. Zeke is still angry for his sister, so he is determined to make Cosette feel as unwelcome as possible. Oh, how sweet. Kiera takes his hand and asks him if he trusts her. When he expressed his affirmation, she told him that they should treat Cosette as a guest. Kiera notes that 3 of her night friends, including Sir Joseph, are peeking in the corner. She tells them to come out, and she assures them as well that she is all right. The adorable Sir Joseph becomes upset for her and tells her to not be too distressed, for the truth will be revealed one day. That is so right. Even with all that's happening, her heart is lighter when she is surrounded by people who care for her. You deserve these types of people around you, Kiera. When it is the day for Cosette's arrival, she determinedly stands outside to meet her, even though her servants tell her she doesn't have to do it. Kiera greets Cosette warmly and even welcomes her to the family. Cosette extends her hand for a handshake as she expresses her hope for them to get along. Gathering all her conviction, Kiera takes her hand and tells her that she hopes for the same. We hope this time Kiera gets to manifest her powers first and prove herself the real one. It was a time before Kiera's regression. Sir Joseph observed how sensitive she had been, probably all because of the girl that Count Weinberg had brought. He is saddened about how fast people change their mind about his lady, even though she had meticulously done her duty for the past few years. He can only wonder if she is okay. How dreamy can a person be? He is so thoughtful. We're literally having heart eyes right now. After a rigorous training session with the other knights, he pondered how House Weinberg attempted to erase Kiera's existence, even pressuring her to give up her position as captain. Lost in thought, he heard someone still training and went to investigate, finding Kiera practicing with her sword. Accidentally injuring herself, he saw a pain in her eyes that went beyond the physical wound. Hurrying to check on her, he expressed concern, but she took it as pity and berated him, asserting her strength and independence, declaring she didn't need anyone's help. No one's an island, Kiera. Take all the help that you need. When she asked him to be her partner in a sword warm-up, he spoke up, reminding her that he was her knight and served the strongest. And again, he's also your knight in shining handsomeness. He couldn't see her as weak. His words brought a genuine smile to her face as she challenged him to grab his swords, asserting that a knight should show sincerity through their skill, a challenge he eagerly accepted. Everything shifted once again when he learned that Lady Cosette had managed to awaken the power of the spirit. Oh no, not again! Lady Kiera had not eaten for days, not even drinking a sip of water. He tried to get her out of her stupor so she wouldn't have to break down. He even begged her desperately to hang in there, but to no avail. She barely responded. The lady is then sentenced to death. Poor Kiera. She tried to do everything to change her fate. Her younger brother was determined to reason with his father as he marched to his office with Sir Joseph hot at his heels. He asked the young lord to stop, but Zeke expressed his anger about the situation, especially about how his sister had been treated. Sir Joseph made him understand that he needed to exercise caution since people were watching them. He told the young master to calm down and promised that he would go to the Grand Duke himself. Zeke agreed, and he went back to his room. Sir Joseph then made his way to the Grand Duke's office where the Grand Duke himself opened the door for him. So guys, what do you think of this story so far? Please subscribe and turn on notifications for updates on this and all our other stories, so you can be the first to find out when they're out. Thank you so much for your support. See you in the next one!